this lesson today, we're going to look at an example of an Excel spreadsheet, and we're going to work on entering our data, entering some math calculations via formulas and functions. So we'll get to that in a minute, but let's start by entering our data. So the first thing, this is all a fictional, but in cell A1, I'm entering the title of our document. In A2, I have a little subtitle. So if this was my class, I'd be entering that information about that particular class. So in cell A3, I put a label for the column that's going to be names. In column B, I'm going to start entering titles from my gradebook. And notice I entered test 1. I hit enter. I'm going to go back and select that. Remember the open crosshairs? I'm going to grab the fill handle and I'm going to copy it across. So I have 4 tests. Remember, anything associated with numbers will sequence. The next title I'm going to have in F3 is the word total. And I think I'll make that total points. So in the remainder of this column, from A4 on down, I'm going to enter my student names. And so I'm going to do that. I've already got those set up. So I'm going to copy those with Control C. And I'm just selecting the one cell and it'll paste down for me. And I'm pasting all my student names. Notice they've spilled into the other cell. That doesn't matter. It still all is in A6. Anna Marie's name is in A6. Felicia's name's in A4. If I click on B4, there's nothing there. So even though it spills over, that is not my concern. My concern is getting the data in. I've already created some data, and so let me go ahead and input that. And I want to put this data in. I can select all these cells, although it's not necessary. It will automatically input, but I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm just right-clicking and pasting. And there I've got all my data entered in. I have a couple other titles. Notice now everyone's name seems to have been cut off and disappeared. If I click on Felicia's name, we'll see her name is there. And Anna Maria Chavez Perez, I hope I didn't butcher that, her name is there. So all of that is available. In cell A12, I'm writing the word total again. I'm writing average in A13. These are all math calculations we're going to create. Maximum and minimum. So now I'm ready to begin. Most important thing you do is let's hopefully spell our names right. Let us enter the correct data. Students, we all hate having the incorrect score. Students feel the same way as teachers do about that. Some of the data that we're not using that would be important is how many points are available in each of these tests. We don't know. We're just going to go ahead and assume that the points are correct, and we're just interested in total points and averages and maximums and minimums. So let us continue. First thing I want to do is demonstrate how to add up a series of numbers, various ways. So this, bear with me as we go through several examples on how to add up numbers. All math formulas or functions begin with an equal sign. And so we're going to type equals, and I'm going to do 78 plus 10 plus 40 plus 92. So let's keep this answer in mind, 220 points. So as you watch me do that, it seems pretty quick, but if I had an average class of close to 30 students, that I would have a lot of numbers to add up. Nobody just gives 4 assignments or tests in a semester, so think of all those numbers we'd be adding up. This is slow. I have to use a Shift-T to get my plus sign, and then there's a chance for error. but the formula is all sitting in that cell. Remember, it's up here at the formula bar. If I made a mistake and needed to make this a different number, I could do that, and it would change the total. Okay, so we're going to delete this one. A better way to do this is to begin with equals and type the name of the cell. So we're adding B4 plus C4. I don't have to capitalize, plus D4 plus E4. And when I hit enter, it should be 220. That's what our original answer was. Now, if you're one of those students that says, but my score isn't correct, could you please correct it? And when I correct it in the cell, it updates to the correct total. So now we have 225 points. When you use the name of the cell, it doesn't matter what the data is in the cell. That is very important to know. It is the preferred method for doing math calculations. Use the cell name whenever possible. Alright, I'm going to erase that one. A better way to do this is to insert a math function, because it is a common function. If we go to click where we want the answer, insert a math function. A math function is a pre-made, created math formula. I don't have to create it by hand. In this case, I want to add numbers. It is important to learn the vocabulary. You're finding the sum. When I find the word, and if I don't have it in my most recently used group, I can go to all that are alphabetical. These are all math formulas. Or if I know where it should be, in which category, I can go there. And I find it in the math and trig category. And after you start using the program in my most recently used, it is most definitely there. So I'm going to click on sum and say OK. This presents a function argument. Notice the title up here, and just poses the question, do you want to find the sum of B4? And notice there's a colon, dot, dot, right over here. You can see it better in the cell. E4. Up in the formula bar, you see equals the sum of B4 through E4, P4 through E4. Yes, it does. Shows me all the numbers, gives me the answer. I click OK. Easy. Double-clicking opens up the cell and highlights the cells in the formula, so I can verify. I hit enter. Or if I just click once, I can see the formula up here. In case I made a minor error and captured an incorrect cell, I can make the correction. So I'm going to take that one away. Another way to do this is to create your own formula again. Remember, it's not preset, but I can do equals and write the word sum, tell it what I want. Don't have to capitalize it. I do use the parenthesis to make it very clear, and I'm just going to use my mouse. Holding the left button, I'm selecting the cells in my formula. Close it up and enter. And for some common math, I'm deleting this again, for some common math formulas or math functions that are used consistently, we can find those under AutoSum. So if you're on your home tab to the editing group, this is an AutoSum button. If I click the arrow, I can choose sum, that's what I'm trying to find, and it'll automatically pop the formula in for me. When it comes to doing math functions or formulas, the difference again, formulas you hand create, math functions are preset and can be applied. The difference, the most important thing is to know what you want to do. If you don't know you want to add, then this makes this problem a very challenging one. But if you know what you're trying to demonstrate by your math calculation, this is easy. So once I've performed a math, I'm going to open this up so I can see. Equals the sum of B4 through E4. Once I verify that's correct, I hit enter. so it's in the cell. I click again, so I have an active cell. I take my crosshairs, my pointer, and make sure it's skinny crosshairs, and I grab the fill handle. I'm going to fill down. Take a look. I have applied the same formula to the next row, B5 through E5, B6 through E6, B7 through E7, and so forth down the list. So as you can see, this is faster, much more accurate than any calculator could be. If I can do the math formula or function once, and I know what I've done is correct, I can apply that to the remainder of the cells needing the same function. So it's not copying any answers, it's just copying the formula B4 to E4, B5 to E5, and so forth down the list. So I'm going to do the same here. So now I've got the total for every student: Felicia 225, Emma 218, and so forth down the list. Next, I'm going to calculate the total points received for test 1. Kind of a silly number to have, but it's just for practice. So I think I'll do equals sum. Again, capitalizing is not important. Notice that when I bring up an S, it gives me some options. I'm going to put a U, and I can find the word sum. And I can double click, and it'll add that. What do I want to find the sum of? All of the scores in test 1. No typing, except for equals SU. Close it up. Even if I don't close it up, it will calculate. Hit enter. And I can copy that across. I'm not going to find the total of the total. So when I look here, I found the sum of C4 through C11, the sum of D4 through D11, and so forth. I could have typed equals sum, parenthesis, and selected with my mouse and close it up. I could have done the auto sum button to find the sum and let it capture. I'll delete this one here so we can see what happens on this. So I could find the auto sum there, and it's going to assume I want to add those cells. If it's correct, I hit enter. Or I can hand type it. I do not recommend typing equals E4 plus E5 plus E6 plus E7 plus E8 plus E9 plus E10 plus E11. That's just 10 students, and look how long that takes. So let us continue here, see if we can wrap this up in a little bit. To find the average, again, you've got to know what you're wanting to find. I want to find the average of all the students' scores. To do this, I'm going to type equals average. And a parenthesis. And now what do I want to find the average of? I want to find the average of all the students. So I'm going to select B4 through B11, not B12. Otherwise, I'll be doubling my number. And I'll close that up, and I'll hit enter. Let's do it one more time. Equals. This time, let me go to the auto sum and choose average. And then we'll take a break. And when I choose average, it's assuming I want to find the average of all those cells. That's incorrect. I only want to find the average of C4 through C11. So once again, be aware of what you're trying to discover. And I'm going to hit enter. And I'm just going to copy that across. Okay, let's stop, and then we will resume in just a moment.